The beach was good, huh?
Beach
Sun,
was excellent.
sun, sand.
A lot of sun, a lot of sand. Good time with my buddy, just hanging out. Nothing spectacular, just catching up and enjoying life.
Yeah.
Just
I
what the
got
doctor ordered.
amen. Just what the doctor ordered. Uh, spent 4th of July in East LA.
Really, on purpose.
Yes. It was taking care of some dogs and it was crazy, man. It was crazy. I mean, it was kind of make you sort of laugh out loud. There's a lot of illegal fireworks and stuff that come up from Mexico that are
Oh
on that
yeah.
side of town. And I have never heard more fireworks go off, man, between like 5 p.m. to about 1 a.m. in the morning and stuff just going off everywhere. Just, was just praying for like we're taking care of some dogs, making sure they're okay, which they did great. Yeah, and we went out at one point and just kind of watched it and we're just kind of sort of laughing with joy and then also just praying that no one got killed, no property got destroyed, no cars exploded. There were a couple houses, no lie. Um, it was easily, I'm going to tell you, street value. It had to have been at least $1,000 worth of fireworks at some of these houses.
Oh yeah.
I
People go
could,
crazy.
unbelievable, unbelievable.
I'm actually surprised that many states didn't make fireworks illegal this year just because of all the smog and smoke from Canada coming down,
Sure. Sure.
making the air quality bad. Fireworks don't do anything to help that.
Oh,
Some
sure.
places have reverted to drones for their fireworks celebration.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, no, I get it. But for some reason, man, we like the explosions and the smell of sulfur for sure. You
Are
know?
they illegal in California?
Of course they are because we
Oh,
got
they're not here. They're quite legal here on every corner.
no, they're well, they're super legal. Well, they're illegal because of brush fires that we can easily have, and we're massively condensed when you get into some parts of like this, particularly here in LA County, right? So when
Hmm.
you're in LA County, and I mean, again, that's the thing where it's like, Doug, you just wouldn't believe it. Like the amount of fireworks that were going off around me, I've never heard anything like it. And I've worked for Disneyland, right?
Yeah.
Uh yeah, it was nuts. And I'll tell you, man, like you just go, how did they not have more massive fires and stuff? Because I mean, it could easily land in somebody's backyard or whatever, and but because it's condensed, right? I mean, you're talking about millions of people condensed, and I was seeing some kids that were just, they'd be lighting stuff and just throwing them out in the street and just like on, oh, that's really close to like going underneath the car.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did have a lot of laughs with it, man. Um, Listen, I figured this is a podcast which is about it's a show which is about um dealing dealing with challenges, pain, stuff we're going through. I'm just gonna be flat out and just transparent. I am I am just depressed and stuck. I am like depressed and stuck, and just some stuff that just kind of came through because Doug knows a little bit of this, but um, it's been a very interesting. It's been a very interesting year for me in terms of client work, companies I work with and stuff. And a lot of it just kind of goes up and down. And I'm sort of one of those guys, like if I am not, there's a lot of my client work recently that is attached to school cycles, right?
Hmm.
So when schools are in and everything's rocking and rolling, look out. It is like, look out, right? And I can see that coming up for me in like August and September. But I've gone through some of these patches where just a lot of stuff is sort of dried up and you're just kind of like, you're trying to stir stuff up for yourself, and or again, the job market or other things are going on. It's there's another turn that's going on there, so you're trying to throw stuff out there, and then I'm trying to fill it with, in a good way, doing the things I feel like I'm being called to do, which is, again, working with Doug on this book and the videos that we do here, stuff that I do on my own channel, just kind of creating content. I will tell you, at times, it feels sometimes you're kind of in a you're in like a lonely canyon. Hey, and this is not about, like, hey, I wish that I had, like, all of these likes. That's not what the thing is. It's just, it feels, yeah, at times it just feels like, wow, feels a little quiet, or there's not. And again, it's sort of the uncomfortableness, which, again, there was a book that I read a couple of years ago. It's called I think it's called The Story of With. Do I have it right here? Yes, I do. Hold on. Stand by. That is exactly it. Well, that's kind of odd. I'll show you some. It's called The Story of With by Alan Arnold. And look at that. I got a little dollar bill in there for a bookmark. Didn't even know that. Whew, I'm good. The Story of With by Alan Arnold. I was introduced to this by my friend Lynn Sexton years ago. And oddly enough, a guy interviewed on a podcast, James Arnold, did the audiobook, and I was actually friends with the guy. That book, The Story of With, really talks about, it's a story, but there's also lessons that are laced throughout it. And the idea of it is being creative, but being creative even when you're not getting the results that you want, because God wants you to invite him into the process, and he wants you to create and write and to do all the stuff with him right alongside of it. So the big thing is about just like creating the art with him. So great point, right? But then I end up I'm throwing some real curveballs at Doug today. Immediately, I'm gonna share some screen stuff while we're doing our show today. First time we've done it on this one. This from Romans 7 is exactly how I feel today. Romans 7:15 through, keep going. I do not understand my own actions, for I do not do what I want, but I do the very thing I hate. Now, if I do what I do not want, I agree that the law is good. Then it is no longer I that do it, but sin which dwells in me. For I know that nothing good dwells in me, that is in my flesh. I can tell what is right, but I cannot do it. For I do not do the good I want, but the evil I do not want is what I do. And so on and so forth. So yeah, that's a little bit of where I am, right? Where, like, all of a sudden I get these moments of feeling like, well, I know the things that and I get a little bit of those inspirations inside of me that it's almost like I feel like the prompting of the Holy Spirit that says, yeah, okay, well, let's do this next thing. Just trust me and let's do this next thing. And then I get frozen. There's some other stuff that I'll refer to in this, but yeah, that's a little bit of what's going on with me, man. I've just felt a little bit depressed, not getting the results I want, feeling also a little bit frozen. Yeah, I just thought that would probably be just helpful for helpful for our viewers to see, which I'm sure the viewers are going, wait a minute, we come here because we're looking for the answers.
It's funny though that you mentioned this, because in my line of work with what I'm doing now, normally I'm at clients, but right now I'm doing a practice manager role, which means I'm doing internal support to my company. And I've felt that my urge to do creative work is just killing me because I want to do something creative. And I actually last weekend, Saturday, before I went to Hilton Head for the weekend with my buddy, I realized none of the clothes I had fit me for swim trunks. So I had to ran to a shopping mall and found a pair of swim trunks. While I was trying on swim trunks, I got this idea for writing a white paper on creativity and change management. I've written a blog about it before, and I just came home and I just had to start putting pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and start working on it because it's been what's been missing from work. And it very much is part of my job to do this. I just didn't have any ideas. And then I had that idea. It's going to take a while to develop it, but at the same time, it gave me a little spark that I can find opportunities to be creative, even when I'm not in a role that's
Yes.
100% creative.
Yes.
And I just had to do something. I had to write something. Something
Yes.
had to come out. And whether it succeeds or flops, at least I'm doing the work right now to make it happen.
That's awesome. I'm going to tell you, Doug, sometimes I just feel like, and again, it's a feeling, not necessarily a fact. You know, sometimes I feel like, and I think that this ties in with the feeling of like being alone or all by myself, exactly what you talked about. Not that there aren't people in this front and experimenting with it, but there are definitely times where I feel like, oh yeah, nobody's really kind of doing the stuff that I'm doing. Even when you do like a little bit of you try to do like the Google search or say, hey, is there anybody that's sort of in the same wheelhouse doing this stuff? And you go, no, at least for some of the stuff. Now that means, what does that mean? That means that there is an opportunity and probably a calling, right?
Yep.
I'm going to be a little watch the comments blow up on this one. And maybe I've said it before. No, I don't think I've said it before here on this show. There are times like I feel like Noah building an ark, there's times where, and again, that doesn't go well one way or the other, right? I mean, it's like, there's definitely times where I feel like there's stuff that I'm trying to do. And let me be frank here. There's certain things I'm trying to learn, especially with, I think that this message that we have is incredibly important that we have, which is about, going through trauma, men's mental health, turning towards God, talking about this stuff, writing this stuff down here, the other stuff that I do on my channel, different topics on that. But I think that this is super important. And this is where the gap is, right? Like all of a sudden I'm looking up stuff to go, yeah, we need, I think there's a little bit of stuff in men's mental health that we need to look up. I do a YouTube search on men's mental health, and I try to take a look at the stuff that's like, maybe the higher view things or whatever. The things that are the higher view things, they're put out like months ago, Now, there's a lot of people that are out there that I'm sure that there's like smaller views of stuff, but it's like, these aren't issues that are like being addressed. All of that to say that I feel like, and again, feeling, not necessarily a fact. Watch the comments. We'll just, oh yeah, well, look at this study. But it really does feel like at times I'm in a moment of going, all right, God, you've got me in a place where I'm kind of, working on this and building it as I go, and I'm trying to learn as I go, right? And then particularly take a look at this, Doug. I mean, this is, sorry, buddy, I'm going to go off on a tangent. Folks, he had no idea I'm going to throw this stuff at him. let me tell you what's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating to be a man in his 50s that when looking for, hey, there's things I'm trying to create or things I'm trying to move forward, or what does that look like? There's nothing that's geared towards us, right?
No,
It's
correct.
all about like, hey, if you're in your 20s and your 30s and all this stuff, and it's like, and you go, and again, there are things that you can take from this, right? That you can go, oh yeah, totally, I can use this, I can use this. But brother, talk about stuff that's like, oh well, you guys are washed up, or it's just like, hey, I'm still drawing breath here,
Yep.
kids, right? I'm still drawing breath, and I still have stuff that that I can bring to the party, you know, and that is also frustrating as well. Where you're just kind of like looking around. Sorry, guys, this is sort of turning into a little bit of a rant, but it's one of these moments where I just go, "What the hell are these other voices?" And then maybe there's part of that that's saying, I guess we'll have to be the voices, you know."
Someone's got to be. Because we
Like
can still confound that younger generation by just using a rotary phone and writing in cursive.
I drive a stick shift. Let me
That's
tell you.
right.
I suppose that's part of this, Doug, isn't? I suppose that's part of it where you just go, all right, Lord, just keep, if what you're doing is that you're guiding me towards uncharted areas, there's a purpose for why you're bringing me into these uncharted areas, right?
Well, and that younger generation is going to need what we're sending
Yes.
forth in the
Yes.
future
Y-
because they're not prepared for this world
Yeah.
by and large.
Yeah. Well, this is a conversation I was just having with a friend, and I feel like that's probably where I am, which is it can be a little grim, right, buddy? I mean, it's a little bit of just like, it literally is pouring yourself out, listening and heeding to what God's plan is, because whatever we are doing needs to be in accordance with what he is calling us to do for his ultimate plan and for the ultimate purpose. And the
Right.
fact is, if the next generations have to build that on my dust and ashes, so be it. With what, if we, again, if, and believe me, man, I gotta call myself on this stuff, man. How many, I'm walking around this house today just telling myself, using quite flavorful language, I might say, talking to myself, but for lack of a better word, telling myself to man up and just
Mhm.
going to go, stop feeling sorry for yourself. That's not going to help this scenario, you know? Anyway, that's just a little bit of where I am. Um, there's definitely some stuff that helped me, which I'm going to point the viewers to if they get a chance to talk about this. You'll probably know some of this stuff anyway. I came across it because part of this that I'm also dealing with is part of it is like I get hit by sometimes I get so many ideas that I just feel frozen and
Mhm.
not moving forward. I did happen to come across I appreciated it. I'll share it with you. Uh Now, Doug, this might not help, especially in your line of work. So this guy here, Joshua Fluke, that's right here. Um, he's kind of an interesting cat because he's a guy he sort of does programming and all this stuff, but he also, let's put it this way, he's very verbal against certain things that happen in corporate structure. So but one of his videos I just watched today was this one, which is my he says my struggle with YouTube anxiety and how I drastically increase productivity. I'll probably link to another thing. He was just sort of talking about how he gets very overwhelmed and was describing some of the things that I have been dealing with lately, which is like,
Mhm.
I feel like and again, Doug knows this, right? I'll be editing the videos or trying to put together the Instagram stuff, or I've got a well, I'm not going to show it in case people see. I'll try to show it so it's a little bit blurry, but I was sort of plotting out some stuff that I need to do in terms of structure for stuff. So if you can kind of see, I don't want to get too much, but there's basically a lot of like video and content things I know that I need to get out there. And so at times you just kind of go, okay, I just need to gear myself up to that so that I'm slowly producing this on a regular basis and just building that muscle, right? And then sometimes I just get like absolutely frozen. He was very good because he was also I'm sure that you've heard about this, right? Which is the Eisenhower matrix, which is like the idea of like splitting things into urgent and non-urgent things. He talks about that in the video. But again, it's one of his techniques of just like going, how do I just kind of really, hold on, break it down into like and again, it's like a lot of James Clear's atomic habits of just like breaking it down into like the smallest thing and then just do what the next thing is that you need to do. So
Yep.
anyway, I found that a little bit helpful for myself with just trying to get a little bit just unfrozen today, And the other thing with this too is like here's the other thing that I have to do. Sorry, this is just me just raving. So I sent a message to Doug the other night. I was editing a video which just went out, it's from several weeks ago. And I just told Doug, I said, Doug, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm babbling on most of the video. He was very kind. He said he had no ego to bruise, which was very, very kind of you. But anyway, I just think that part of it is just about like being kinder to myself because I am not kind to myself. I am not kind to myself, and I don't take the time to look at the things I have actually done during the course of a day, or the things that that I have made progress on. Jordan Peterson talks about this in 12 Rules for Life, where there's this moment of just like, hey, you need to treat yourself when you have to realize that you're negotiating with yourself, and you have to negotiate with yourself the way that you would if you were truly negotiating with another person, right? Like you wouldn't, if I'm trying to influence or persuade somebody to do something, to get some stuff done, I wouldn't berate them the way that I do with my own self-talk. And I am terrible with that. So
This is why I like to, instead of writing things down on big pieces of paper, I write sticky notes, because at the end of the day, the satisfaction I get is taking that sticky note, checking the box, and throwing it away. And then when my desk is clear of sticky notes, which it almost never is, I at least get this good sensation that I've accomplished something for the day. But my focus is always on what's next. I'm more in the moment. Get this done, get this done, get this done. I'm horrible at planning for the long-term future, and I'm horrible at remembering what I did the day before because I've already done it. So why do I need to keep that in my brain cells? And so I move on to the next thing, which is why I like a lot of task-oriented work, which is why writing's a lot of fun, because you get a chance. It's just in the moment. You're writing it now. Right. I'm horrible at going back and editing, but I love to write in the moment.
Yes.
And get it out on paper.
There's a thing that I'm experimenting too with a program that I've been trying to develop, which is especially from the creative work, of being able to just see the proof of evidence of what you've done, because that in and of itself is something to go, look at what you've actually accomplished, right? Because it's very easy to like be in the moment or to think about where you're lacking or what needs to get done. But there does have to be this moment of taking a moment to go, hey, hold on a second, let me check in and, let me take the moment to recognize the accomplishments or the things I'm grateful for or the things I've done. And again, that's something that, I've been learning in, recovery programs, which I'm just not. And it's a good reminder for me as I'm opening my mouth and talking about this today, is that I have to do that balanced inventory at the end of my day to go, what did you get right? And I think for me particularly, I think that that's truly what I have to be ending my evening with, of what did I get right today? Because too often I'm always talking about what I get wrong and what I got to fix the next day.
Let me ask you this question, because you can't see all of my office. Obviously, here you can see what's behind me, and I need to clean up some paperwork behind me. But on one wall, I've got two very narrow bookshelves where the books lay flat against the wall, so I can see their covers, and they contains all 6 of the books I've written. And that's a way for me to remind myself that I've done something in this world.
Yeah.
And I would encourage you, Kevin, to do the same thing. What are some of the things that remind you of the success that you've had or the progress that you've made that you can display, maybe not where everyone sees it, but where you can see it each and every day?
Yeah.
And just remind yourself that you've done some great stuff.
I think that that's a great idea, buddy. Fortunately, I look over here to the side, and two of the pictures I see up right now is a picture of Kate and I also see me with the rest of the family, which that's a big thing, right? Like relationship wise. But you're also right about that in terms of the work and the stuff that I've actually done. Because,
right.
Boy, it's again, I think Satan loves to weaponize that sense of. I think probably, Doug, that's the thing that I'm battling. I think that that's the thing that I'm battling, is that I'm battling that voice that's saying, yeah, you haven't done anything, or, you haven't, it was all for naught. And I think that that's probably the voice that I'm battling the hardest. And I think that that's, again, going back to the Alan Arnold thing, this is why I've got to invite God into every step of it, and reaching out and talking about it, which I'm grateful to be able to do today. You and I also experienced a version of that with somebody on one of our shared threads that was able to reach out today with a challenge that they were going through. And I'm very grateful that I get the opportunity to be able to do this here with you, and to do as an example for other people that are watching. It's a difficult thing, right? Satan wants us to isolate. Satan wants us to isolate, to shut up, and because when we do that, we cut ourselves off further from God. And so
Satan's clever. And when I put these bookshelves up and put the books on them, Satan was then saying to me, look how prideful you are. Then I realized I'm the only one ever in this office. So it's only for my benefit. It's not for me to show the world what I've done. It's to remind myself that I've done good. One of the things behind me on this wall is just some of the work that I've done with Orphan World Relief and the number of kids I've impacted. And even though that will be sunsetting itself soon, it is still a great reminder to me that I've done good in this world. I've done what God has asked me to do at times in my life. I'm not perfect at it. Never will be. But I've listened to the Holy Spirit when it mattered, when it really mattered. And you have too.
Thanks, buddy. Well, there
you said yes to this weird guy from Ohio 3 years ago.
He's the guy that took a chance on me. So, well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Thanks to all of our viewers who are watching this. Have you felt this as well? If so, write something in the comments. We'll make a comment back. I'm sure, have you gone through, are you going through moments like this yourself? one great practice that we'll always tell you to do is write. And you can always go over to I'd rather be a buffalo.com / free journal. And we've got a journal that's available right now where you can get into the practice of doing that as well. That can help you through it. So writing is one of those steps, but definitely talking about it is too. So thanks for listening, Doug. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime, my friend.
All right. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks so much.
Bye.